So how did I get lucky enough to study with Joe Hubbard? Well, quite frankly, I was unsuccessful in the last half dozen endeavors I took for instruction. I ran into the problem I think everybody runs into. Either I ran into no real curriculum to study, an instructor that asked me what I wanted to learn, or an instructor that expected I knew something I didn't know, or worse yet, an instructor that thought I was a punching bag. So with Joe, it took a whole different turn, because I was very intimidated to study with him. I knew he knew what he was talking about. I knew he had a curriculum that was developed, but what I didn't know is that how keen he was on beginners. So once I found out that he would take on a beginner, I was 100% in. So what's the process been like, and what are the challenges of studying with Joe, and how has that been? Let's see here, I'm almost 2 years in. I'm probably studying at about half or 3/4 of the rate. I don't know any other student, but I'm sure I'm a little slower than most students. I'd say the first 6 or 8 months was a real filling out, trying to figure out. I was super concerned that I was going to get some information right up front that I couldn't digest, like straight up read these charts or do this, notation reading exercise. And it wasn't like that at all. It's been, and it still is, extremely palatable, extremely progressive. So you get the first few forms and you think after a short period of time, you think, gosh, is this what all there is? And then the next form comes and the next form comes. And you realize, and they kind of chain together. So I think Joe is very well described as the friendly drill sergeant. And I mean that with all the respect possible. I mean, you definitely believe what he says, you know what he says is the truth, and you know he's 100% committed to it, and he won't let you get away with not participating in that or not giving the best you can give. And depending on where you're at, I feel like in your situation that may have some movement or some gray area, which is fantastic. It means I feel like he's judging me as an individual. And I also feel like that it's important to have someone who's bona fide. So in my studying with Joe, what I realized, and I didn't know before, and of course I didn't know this about any other instructors I studied with, was Joe had such a wealth of experience. He actually went out and did these things. He actually toured with many people. He actually instructed at a college. He gave individual instructions. He went and did his own thing and played, in Hawaii or different places that he actually played to earn his medal. And so once I found that out, it made it even that much more palatable, or that much more of an idea that I had to study with Joe. And so I think Joe has a 2-year mastery program, and like I said, I'm certainly not through it, even though I've been for 2 years, but for me it's almost like a life program. I don't see how it's only 2 years. I don't see how it's going to be an end to this at 2 years for what it is. But I can say that at 2 years in, I'm still ready for more, and that I don't see me doing it in 10 more years. And I don't mean because I can't do the curriculum, because I don't see me wanting to stop doing it. Again, a bona fide teacher was very important to me, someone who'd been there and done that. I didn't see that as much in the instruction world. I saw a lot of people who were in martial arts, like a middle belt, who were trying to come off as a black belt, or trying to come off as, since they did know a lot more than you know, like they could actually give some quality instruction. And really what I found was many holes in many programs. And how have I changed as a bass player or musicianship, or how has it changed me? My whole approach to practice has certainly changed. So I have consistent, unified, very curriculum driven practice that is 2 or 3-fold. It has to go from this ear training, and there's sight reading, and there's a repertoire, and then there's the actual practice. Many different directions to go from. And right now, that's a good point, is my bass playing has changed mainly because I'm not pulled in 400 directions. I'm not trying to do 12 different kinds of ideas. I know there's 4 or 5 different concepts in music you need to practice. You've got to practice those diligently, daily. And so that's another thing that's changed, is no more spotty, infrequent practice. Daily practice in the morning, an hour or so every morning, and nightly. Every night for an hour or so. I get 2.5 hours a day, instead of 8 hours one day and 0 hours for 3 days. I think my whole outlook really has changed with Joe. I see a path to continually build my musicianship And I think the most important thing is just that Joe has seemingly really been there for me in all my musical situations to try to ask him. Even in my falling down, he's never judged me for what that was. He's just put me back on track. And again, can't say this enough, with a curriculum that you can follow and that's progressive and that you see over time where you're going to go. So appreciate it, Joe. See you next week.